Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast. We have an amazing guest for you today. He's an industry thought leader, tech innovator. He's got a wealth of industry knowledge and expertise that he's about to share with you. And more importantly, he's also a dear friend. Please help me welcome back to the show, Trevor Gauthier, CEO at ACES Quality Management. Trevor, welcome back.
Thanks, Michael. Great to be here. Looking forward to the conversation.
Well, it is great to have you. You have a wealth of knowledge and expertise. We don't have to go through your whole history and background, but you've covered so many different positions, areas of expertise. You've led so many companies that I kind of want to just dive right into the discussion. And in today's mortgage market, both the origination side and the servicing side, talk to me about why quality control is so critical and kind of highlight some of the areas that lenders are kind of failing at that area.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most importantly right now, right, is you have volumes that have shrunk. So every single loan that you're getting through your system is incredibly important. So you want to make sure that everything that's going through, whether you're selling a Fannie or Freddie or what you're doing with the FHA, is of super high quality because every loan matters more than it has really in the last 2 decades. On the servicing side, I mean, those businesses have been strong lately, but they're starting to, likely get more and more calls with like escrow going up and because of taxes and insurance and things like that. So you have all of the quality work that you're doing on a regular basis there, but then you also have like call monitoring and things like that you need to be sure that you're executing appropriately as calls are starting to come in at a more rapid pace and things like that. So it's really across the board. And then it's also not even just, I mean, I would most certainly say it's not just in the mortgage and in the servicing space. It's really across the business. Right now, there's likely other parts of the business that are doing actually pretty well, like consumer lending has done pretty well over the course of the last couple of years. So you want to make sure it's strong there. Or you might have like a wealth management division and things like that. So you want to make sure you're strong there. So when we think about quality, it's certainly there is a large piece that is driven through whether that be mortgage or servicing or things like that. But there's so many other parts of the business that the business will benefit from having really strong quality across the board and covering all those ancillary types of areas also.
I'm going to come back to the ancillary areas in a second, but
yeah.
What are some of the hurdles that these businesses have to overcome? They're trying to do it all internally themselves. What are some of the challenges you see of where people have really not really covered quality control as well as they should, and then they run into, whether it's on the lending side of buybacks or just other compliance issues?
Yeah, so I mean, first and foremost for us, when we have really we've been in the space now for a couple decades, and when we look at this marketplace, it's really interesting for like a quality management solution is we're really defining what that looks like. So I would say number one is realizing that there are software solutions out there that will fit your needs. I mean, we do really well in the top 25, the top 50, and we have really strong market share there, like 50+%, depending on what you're talking about. So obviously those types of organizations are well aware that this type of software exists and they're out there purchasing it. I think it's the outside of those types of organizations where we go into, I mean, a solid 50% of them have no solution at all. I mean, they're doing, whether it be their sampling or their reporting or all their defect tracking and all those types of things, they're doing it through Microsoft Excel. They're doing their reporting through some ancillary reporting tool and things like that. So I think first and foremost is understanding that the solution does exist. They're also doing, maybe a portion of it that's outsourced. We do see quite a bit of that, and we work with a number of outsourcers that use our platform. So we're not saying don't outsource. We're saying that, really take a look at your business and say, hey, which part of this can I bring in-house? And then which part of it should I still use an outsourcer for? And then really understand that the tools do exist to do, we're typically working with like very large data sets that are in like data lakes or data warehouses, and we're pulling in the statistical sampling, and you have the rules around it, and we are managing the state and federal regulations and pulling those in. and then you're managing your defect tracking, and you're doing your reporting, and you're doing all your communication through one tool. A lot of these folks are doing it in a variety of like Microsoft tools and other things like I said, and it's just understanding that it actually exists. And then I would say, yes, bringing it in-house, typically there are QA, QC, internal audit teams that are already in place. A lot of, what we provide is the ability to do more with what you've got today. So it's not immediately thinking like, well, if I bring this in-house, I'm going to have to hire 5 people. Take a look at what your current processes are and realize you might be actually significantly better off bringing it in-house and with the tool sets that we're able to provide.
Well, and I think that's so important that people understand these tools are out there. And what happens, and you know it as well as I do in the industry, that soon as volumes pick up and things get busy, those people are wearing multiple hats. They're trying to do more with less. And if they can leverage tools that are going to really help improve that loan quality, the quality of whatever they're working on is going to be a significant uplift for them. Talk to me about technology's role in all of this. Like you said, you don't want to just be using spreadsheets. They're prone to errors. There's a lot of data issues there. But tell me, what are technology's roles in really providing a robust solution for QC?
Yeah, to go back with what you said earlier too, just to kind of put a bow around that, I agree with you. I mean, you and I have been in the technology space for a long time. The time to focus on putting in these types of solutions is typically when you aren't as busy because you have the time to do so. Now, it's a tricky one because there is also the funding aspect of it. So it's just a matter of where does that balancing act occur and when can you actually spend the time and the money to invest in future growth. We believe the time is now, and we are also very conscious of the fact that we're in a pretty tough spot right now and people may not have the budgets. Now, as it relates to technology, it's all like, scale is huge and efficiency is huge. I mean, that with the majority of technologies that are out there, no matter what area you're in, that those are key. And then also accuracy, I would say would be the third one: scale, efficiency, and accuracy. So, we had a customer of ours. One of the better quotes that came out of a case study we did was, "I got my Fridays back." And so prior to having a software solution that encompassed everything that I said earlier, they were spending all of their Fridays just doing reporting. And they didn't, within our tool, it's like you have preset reports, they're clicking a button, they're automatically running, and then you're off and going. Whereas they were literally spending a whole day, super monotonous, and putting together all these reports and shipping them out. So that speaks to really all of those things, right? Like, the reports are going to be more accurate. You're certainly getting a heck of a lot of scale and you're getting a lot more efficiency to be able to go and do things that require more human intervention. You don't want your high-powered resources doing things that are overly mundane. So I think that's where it comes in. And then, it's relying on your technology partners to do a lot of the heavy lifting. I talked about like as it relates to us, we're doing the sampling, we're managing through the data to kind of sift through and bringing that data in. We're then immediately applying state and federal regulations to the information that's in the system. That's enormous, and we have a team of people on staff that are going through 60 to 100 different resources to help manage through state, federal regulations, Fannie, Freddie guidelines, and things like that, and bringing them to them. So again, that's all efficiency, and then of course it's whether it's a rules workflow or whether you're talking about machine learning and all of those types of things to just help with the speed and accuracy of going through all that data is something that should really be able to look to rely on. And I'm big on one platform to manage all of this across the board, so you just don't have sporadic data and you don't have things breaking down. It's being able to provide, no matter what solution that you're trying to or better said, no matter what problem you're trying to provide a solution for, you should have a platform that covers it soup to nuts, so that aren't going in and out of certain solutions to get all the data.
Yeah, and then you don't have data silos and this one department or this one business unit is working in this one area. You don't have the visibility to it. So I couldn't agree with you more about that one platform across the organization. Are you seeing AI? You mentioned machine learning. Are you seeing AI starting to creep into, the whole QC world? Kind of what's the state of AI as you guys see it right now?
Well, the vernacular AI is everywhere. So now there's two use cases for AI. We do believe that there are some really solid providers out there and various different technologies that can be applied to certain use cases. We use AI currently, in our on our client support. So we have like chatbots and things like that that can take in our user manuals and be able to sit through those and answer that first line of defense kind of questions. Now that's just the organization as a whole. We
Right.
are looking for other areas to be able to apply, whether it be more advanced machine learning or AI into our solutions. We think there's some really solid lifts to be done around, even what I was just talking about with what we're doing with like compliance and state and federal regulations, and we're going to 60 to 100 different resources to do this, and a lot of that is manual and pulling these teams in. So it's like, how do we better go grab that type of information and sit it down for our users? There's certainly to be a play on how are we sifting through. I mean, you think about the massive amounts of data that we're going through to do these types of audits. Like, how do we allow our folks to even get that much faster through the audit process and being able to do auto answer and things like that? We have an auto answer feature in the platform today, but it can certainly expand to be that much more robust. So yeah, it's out there. It's certainly something that will continue to advance. It's like most things that you and I have lived through. I mean, even if you go back to like OCR and imaging and those types of things, it's like it has to be accurate, and 95% accurate isn't accurate enough for these folks to say, hey, okay, no, now I'm no longer going to have eyeballs on screens. Like, it needs to be 99.999% accurate, or it's kind of useless. So it's a matter of figuring out those proper use cases to be able to apply the technology that really gives them the lift because they have the confidence in the data that we're going after.
Well, and that is so true. And I think, you hear the buzzword AI, and then it's really finding where are the practical applications to it. I think,
Mm-hmm.
on the marketing side and content creation, there's a lot of practical applications for that. And I always say that, if you're going to win that battle, you got to be a master at prompts, meaning you got to have subject matter expertise. And then you got to know how to personalize. I've heard other solutions coming out, and I've talked to people where they're now starting to apply it to call center activity and now can
Mm-hmm.
track every call, and it can analyze it of what went right on the call, what didn't, and it can do some instant sales coaching. I'm like, okay, well, that's a practical application. That's something different that we're seeing. Tell me now, I mean, we've talked kind of, from a big picture perspective, but tell me, what is ACES doing? What separates you guys? How do you guys differentiate? I know you've mentioned that you've got a lot of the top 50 lenders, great market share. What are some of the unique value propositions that you guys offer, and why should more people take a look at the solutions that you guys are offering?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. So I would say first and foremost, what differentiates us is really the people. I mean, the majority of the folks that have developed this solution and continue to expand upon this solution have lived that day to day, and they are quality control experts. They've come from some of the top institutions across the country and really helped build that from the ground up. And then, we have had a good clip of time working with those, whether it be top lenders in the space, top credit unions, top servicers in the space, to help build out that platform. Our user community is absolutely fantastic. Super willing to share, not competitive with each other on this side of the house. I mean, it's very different from the origination side of the house. I mean, so willing to share, trials and tribulations and how they're going about tackling it, which helps everybody, right? And certainly helps our platform in building that out. So I'd say first and foremost is certainly the people and how we've gone about it and how we've built it up. And then I think it's the breadth of the solutions that we're offering. So we really cut our teeth in residential mortgage on it. And then, there's natural expansions of just what is that, how much deeper do we go in that area, and then getting into servicing, and then you do some consumer loans, and you get into commercial, and now we have folks that are using us in 30 plus different departments across the country or across the world to do quality control. So having one true enterprise solution that's able to do everything that is potentially loan related, and then be able to do all of your other quality control across the organization, whether that be in call monitoring or maybe social media monitoring or wealth management, or you're doing branch audits, to have all of that data in one system and be reporting in one system and using one set of communication tools that everybody kind of gets used to, I think really does set us apart. So we go really broad, and some of that we are also going incredibly deep, and the incredibly deep areas are if there are state and federal regulations or there's Fannie and Freddie guidelines or something like that. That's where we're going really deep. And then the agnostic side is if they're creating like their own checklists and questionnaires and things like that to be able to audit against those. So goal for us is to continue to get deeper and deeper as we go broader.
Well, and I think as you expand upon going deeper and deeper, companies just can't keep up with all of the rules and the regulations and all of the data, and how do they manage it, and do they have the technology to handle all of that. And if you guys can step in and be that knowledge source for them and apply the technology, that is a huge win. Like you said, one of the great case studies you have is somebody saying, hey, we get our Fridays back. Well, how much money are you spending from executives running all those reports in data silos and everything? And now you have that unified platform. Trevor, you're always a wealth of knowledge and expertise. You and I could continue to talk for a while. I have a couple more questions as we wind down. First of all, if people want to find out more about all the cool stuff that ACES is doing, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you and your team?
Well, certainly start at the website. I mean, if you want to poke around, acesquality.com is fantastic. We have, as I was saying, we have a lot of referenceable customers, and we have a lot of case study information on there and a lot of detailed information there. But then more importantly, find us. We're at a ton of the conferences coming up. Give us a call. It's a fantastic team. I was just with both our sales team and our client relations team last week. We had our kickoff of the year in Dallas. Really great group of people, and they're not looking to sell people; they're looking to help people, and they're very passionate about what we're providing. And I'd say find us at one of the upcoming trade shows, or give us a call, and just certainly check out the website to get more information.
All right, and before we wind down, tell me, how's the ski season been, and what's your favorite resort in Colorado?
It's been up and down. It started off fantastic out here in Colorado, and then we had a 5-week lull, and now it's leveling out pretty good. I had an amazing trip, cat skiing trip up to Canada, Nelson, Canada. For your listeners, if they've never been, they should go check out that area. And favorite ski resort in Colorado is Beaver Creek. Gets less crowds than Vail, really good terrain, and my daughter is in a ski club there, so it drives us up there a pretty good bit, but fantastic location.
Fantastic. Trevor, I can't thank you enough for being on this episode of the Fintech Hunting Podcast.
Thanks, Michael.